Hello, I'm going to give you a short overview of the Firefly software. I'm going to show you from logging in through to writing simple protocols. And then there are subsequent videos that go into other areas of the software. So first of all, I'm going to log in. You can see there are a number of users set up on this Firefly. And I'm going to select my account, which is this one here. And then I'm going to enter my passcode to get in. We can set up different levels of user. So I'm set as an advanced user, but you can also have standard users who've got the ability to do less in the software, and you can actually lock it down to the point where a user could literally just have a number of protocols like these two that are listed here, demo and test protocol. They could have any number of protocols that they're allowed to open and run, but they're not able really to do anything else. So in this case, I'm able to open existing protocols, so I could search the directory for other things that I might want to run, or in this case, I'm going to select the Create New Protocol option. And then it shows me the instrument that I'm working with, which in this case is a standard Firefly genomics instrument. So I'm just going to say OK to that. And then the software opens up into the designer page. The first thing I want to do in this is go down to the bottom section of this, which is to add labware, add a plate in this case. So, and then the plates that I've actually got installed on this in 96 well and 384 well, and then I've also got recent plates that I've used when I've been writing other protocols. So you can have as many or as few as you like here, and you can download additional ones from the cloud database. So I'm just going to use this recent plate for this demonstration. So I'm going to select this twin-tech plate. I could then select by column any number of columns, but I'm actually just going to select a whole plate and add that to this working list of assets that you see here. So I can give that a name as well. So I'm just going to call that samples. And then I'm going to add a second plate, which again, I'm just going to select the whole plate, and I'm going to call that reaction. And what you can do, the colors for each of these assets are auto assigned, and in this case it's just randomly picked two colors that are quite close to each other. So for any object that's selected, if you go down to the right hand panel, you've got the kind of properties of that object. So here I can actually go into a color palette and actually change the color of that. So let me pick something contrasts well with the green. I'll pick this kind of pink color. So if you have got kind of color coding within your workflows, if that's useful, it's very easy to just set these up any way you want. So I've now got two plates. So let's say the first thing I want to do is transfer some samples from the sample plate to the reaction plate. I can now add a step at the top here, and there's a menu of different functions. So the first block of functions are all related to the pipetting head. The second set of functions are all related to the non-contact dispense head, and I'll go into that in a moment. And then there's a bunch of other steps like placing things on with the gripper, moving things off, things like shaking, incubation, pausing user interactions, and so on. So for this one, as I want to do a straightforward copy of samples from one plate to the other, I'm going to use the copy step. And all I have to do is drag in the source and the destination. Again, because this is now highlighted, if I go to the right hand side, I can actually then put in the volume here. So let's say this is 10 microliters that I want to use. And then I could do things like set up a liquid class, or I could go into the advanced settings and go through and change all the parameters that would help to fine tune this process. Things like speed, air gaps, tip touches, and so on. I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a separate video. But for now, I'm just going to leave this that I'm transferring 10 microliters. Now, if I tried to actually run this protocol, it would immediately tell me that I can't do it because I haven't got any tips. So I've forgotten to add tips, but I can do that now and then just move it. So if I go to add step and select my little load change tips symbol here, the little forklift truck. It'll allow me to load some tips, and then anything except plates I can add from the menu at the bottom here. So I want to add a tip set. Again, highlighted, and then on the right hand side here, I can actually change between 96 and 384. I'm going to leave it as 96, and also the tip size, whether they're 50 microliter, 125, or filter tips. I'm just going to choose a 50 microliter tip. Okay, these things are also color coded, which coincides with color coding of the tip boxes themselves. So I'm going to just drag this tip set in, and actually I'm going to move that so it's before my copy. Let's say I now want to add a master mix or some sort of reagent to this plate. So I can add now a reservoir, which relate to the non-contact dispense syringes that we have on the system. And there's 6 of these, each with an individual reservoir. So I can choose any number of them from 1 to 6. And generally that's just a question of speed versus dead volume. So if I just want to do a single syringe for a particular reagent, I can do that. And that's what I'm going to do here in this example. And then again, I'm just going to give this a name called reagent 1. So now if I go to my steps, I can go to the second step in the menu, and I'm going to pick a fill step. And what that's going to do is it's going to go from this reservoir here to the reaction plate. Now let's say the next thing I'd like to do is, and I need to put a volume in that. So again, if I go to the right here, I can actually select my volume, and let's say that's 10 microliters again. So we've got 10 a sample, and then we're adding another 10 of the fill. And here in the interesting thing here is that really we've got a number of presets for dispensing that you can drop down the menu, and generally that's all the fine tuning you need to do on the dispense head. Again, a little bit more of that later. So we've now got samples and a reagent in the plate. Let's say I want to give them a shake. So I could now use a place on command, and I can add a shaker. And I can simply go that I want to put the shaker there, and it's this plate that I want to put on the shaker. And then once I've done this, got it on the shaker, let's say I want to put a shake in there. So I can select shake, and then here I can do the speed, which is in revolutions per minute. So I'm going to leave it at 1,000, but maybe I don't want to do it for as long as a minute. So I can go to, let's say 30 seconds. And then once that's complete, I want to bring it back off that, so I can do a takeoff command. So here, if I actually just say that I want to get the reaction plate off, it automatically knows it was already on the shaker, so it just drops the shaker in there. And then finally, let's say I'm happy. That's a very simple process that I've programmed, but the final thing I want to do is just to remove the tips at the end. And it'll automatically default to unloading the tips because it knows I've already put them on. So a very, very simple protocol, but any protocol, no matter how complex, can be written in this way. You can just keep adding steps and building up the protocol. You can then do things like group the steps. So if you want to keep blocks discrete, so for example, if I wanted to do the well, I suppose I could group all of this. It probably makes more sense as it's so small. So I could group that up so it's a single step, and then you could have blocks of groups to make it easier to navigate. Or for shorter protocols, you may just prefer to keep them open like this. So I'm going to leave it there as a basic introduction of how you build protocols, but hopefully you can see it's very simple to just build a method up. And you can also see it builds a nice list view of the method as well here. Once you've done that, you now can go to the deck of the instrument. So here it actually shows you the in this case, only the three things that we're using in this protocol. And then the upper and the lower deck, and then the units that sit below the decks. So I could just drag things in to into the system here, but the tip boxes go on the lower deck. Plates can go either lower deck or upper deck. If I try and put a tip set on the upper deck, it'll tell me that I can't. So it has restrictions that it tells you about, so you can't get that wrong. The other way I can do this, if I just undo that, I can then press the magic wand button, and that'll populate the deck in a logical way. You can still move things around if you need to. So I could put these in different places. I'll just move one and take the rest. This is quite handy when it's when you've got lots of things rather than you dragging them one by one. So once you've got the deck layout set up, you can then go to description, and this just allows you to put the protocol in a group, and you can set up different groups. I'm just going to leave it as not specified, and then you can write a basic abstract explaining what this protocol does. I'm just going to put something simple like this is a demonstration. And then the next one in this block is history. This, as I've just written it, there is no history, but if I was to come in and change something and then do file and then file save, it will ask me to record a design change, or you could also record execution logs. So essentially you can basically record any changes that you make. If you've made a change to maybe a few steps, you could actually just capture that. So you've got a nice rich history of what's happened during the life of that protocol. And then finally we come to the execute section. So I'm going to actually run through that in a separate video. So hopefully that was useful, just to give you a flavour of what it takes to actually program a protocol on the Firefly.